Hi everyone! Today we will be talking about embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace through the use of the Critical Literacy Advancement Model. The Critical Literacy Advancement Model was created with one overarching goal in mind: developing and promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion within the education system, but specifically for adult education. Each literacy was designed to advance DEI, but these three aspects tend to fall into the social justice category as they directly address systemic barriers, power imbalances, and historical inequities that affect marginalized populations. Social justice literacy equips learners to critically examine issues related to human rights, racial and gender equity, and moral responsibilities. The impact of CLAM can be carried into the workplace as adult learners transition from students to employees. When applied in the workplace, employees can feel empowered to transform their work environment to a more diverse, inclusive, and equitable space. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are the pillars under which fair, respectful, and welcoming environments are created. DEI initiatives seek to mitigate actions and practices that could be perceived as discriminatory or unfavorable towards certain groups based on categories such as race, gender, age, sexual orientation, ability, etc. DEI is a fundamental program that organizations have implemented to create an environment that represents, includes, and celebrates diversity. The purpose of this workshop is to understand the definitions and implications of DEI and their relevance in the workplace, provide tools to create a welcoming, tolerant, and diverse work environment, promote the celebration and recognition of unique experiences, backgrounds, and cultures, create a safe environment which does not tolerate any kind of discrimination, and identify implicit biases and microaggressions and how to prevent them. Upon completion of this workshop, attendees will be able to understand basic DEI principles, contribute to an inclusive work culture that celebrates differences, unique backgrounds, and experiences, identify potential areas of opportunity to implement better DEI practices, reflect on implicit biases and microaggressions, break cultural stereotypes and practices that can be perceived as discriminatory, and prevent potential legal risk due to discriminatory practices. For this workshop, we will use the definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion that can be found in The Adult Learner, written by Knowles et al. The author of this text defines diversity as real or perceived differences among people in race, ethnicity, sex, age, physical and mental ability, sexual orientation, religion, work and family status, weight and appearance, and other identity-based areas that affect their experiences, outcomes, and opportunities in organizations and society. This definition of diversity acknowledges the wide range of aspects that can be included when thinking about it. Equity can be defined as the fair distribution of opportunities. The word opportunities can mean a multitude of things, but our specific focus for this training will be on opportunities within the workplace and adult education. In this context, equity means that all individuals, regardless of their backgrounds and circumstances, will have the same tools and resources needed to succeed in their professional and educational roles. Equity is a vital aspect to every workplace because it promotes a culture of inclusion and trust that can lead to an increase in employee engagement, motivation, and morale. Inclusion can be defined as the degree to which different voices of a diverse group are represented and heard. While diversity speaks to the many differences across people, inclusion is what ensures that the differences are valued and respected across the group. An inclusive work environment should be a space where everyone feels welcome and safe to explain their perspectives. DEI initiatives allow for companies to have a diverse workforce that can generate different perspectives and approaches, leading to a diversified array of solutions to arising problems or situations. By having employees who bring different life experiences, cultural backgrounds, and perspectives, companies have a wealth of knowledge and points of view that can allow the organization to face business challenges in multiple scenarios. DEI initiatives can help attract, retain, and motivate individuals from different backgrounds and create a sense of belonging while improving company reputation and desirability. Having a diverse workforce motivates minorities and other groups to apply, stay, and recommend their organization to others, solidifying the organization's reputation as a top employer with fair hiring practices. DEI has a positive effect by creating an environment that encourages individuality, creativity, and innovation. If the environment is diverse, all individuals will feel encouraged to express themselves, share their unique experiences, and be confident to provide different perspectives and approaches to their organization. Another advantage of DEI is that having a diverse workforce allows the organization to adapt and anticipate demands of different consumer groups based on the knowledge and feedback they've gathered from their employee population. Lastly, companies that have DEI initiatives tend to outperform those who do not by 35%. In a study made by McKinsey & Co., studies show that companies in the top quartile for gender diversity in executive teams are 25% more likely to be more profitable. The sources that we have used to inform this training have been accredited textbooks on adult learning and critical literacies advancement models, peer-reviewed articles on DEI, including its history, definitions, and implications, studies on the benefits of DEI initiatives and programs in the workplace, and data on the positive financial effects of DEI in companies. The presence of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the workplace, or lack thereof, can have different types of effects not only on the team member experience within the organization, but also on the revenue and reputation of a company. The following contexts could be indicators of a need for embracing DEI in the workplace workshop: lack of involvement in social issues and cultural celebrations, increase in employee relations issues regarding discrimination, lack of diversity within leadership roles and the general workforce, increased reports of microaggressions, and substantiated claims of discrimination presented to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. One activity that could be done in the workplace is to build a respectful environment that recognizes microaggressions. The purpose of this session is to introduce attendees to the basic concepts and foundations of DEI, develop tools to create a welcoming and respectful work environment, and develop the skills to recognize microaggressions and become self-aware of one's implicit biases. This activity is designed to create awareness of unconscious behaviors that can be perceived as aggressive and discriminatory in nature. Ideally, this workshop would be completed in a conference room with the appropriate setup to encourage open conversation. Materials that would be needed would be a projector, a presentation, and educational videos. Organizations may also choose to complete an Assumptions on Diversity activity. This hour-long workshop is designed to challenge stereotypes, implicit biases, and foster open communication. In this session, the participant will build empathy by listening to other experiences and refrain from harmful assumptions. Each participant will write an assumption that they have experienced related to diversity, then they will place it in a bowl. In a small group, they will draw and then discuss why the assumption could be problematic and collaborate on how to rewrite it into a more accurate statement. Ideally, this would be conducted in a conference room at the designated workplace. And materials that would be needed would be index cards, writing tools, a bowl, and a whiteboard. Organizations may also choose to complete a show and tell activity. This activity is meant to raise awareness to show participants the diversity in their specific work setting. The activity promotes empathy and opens for communication with others. In this activity, participants will bring an item that represents their cultural background and discuss it with the group. Ideally, the workshop would be conducted in a conference room at the designated workplace, and the materials would just be the employee's item of choice. Finally, companies may choose to play DEI bingo. This fun activity sparks interaction across the team and promotes DEI in a light but encouraging way. It opens the participants up to deeper conversation in a positive way. For this game, the participants will walk around and find people who match their square and write their name. For example, items that may be on the bingo card could be born in a different state, speaks more than 2 languages, has children, married, etc. Ideally, this activity would take place off-site at a park or somewhere outdoors to let the participants get into a new environment and have some fun. The materials that would be needed would be a 5x5 bingo card, a marker, timer, facilitator notes, and prizes. This evaluation plan is designed to help adult learners and employees build the knowledge and skills needed to identify bias, encourage inclusive behavior, and appreciate the importance of equity in the workplace. The training also strives to create a culture where diversity is embraced and systemic barriers to inclusion are actively recognized and challenged. Ultimately, the goal is to strengthen cultural competence and enhance both interpersonal relationships and overall organizational effectiveness. To assess growth in knowledge and application of DEI concepts, participants will engage in a structured scenario-based case analysis at both the beginning and the end of the training. Each scenario will present a realistic workplace situation involving challenges related to diversity, equity, or inclusion. Participants will be asked to identify key DEI issues in the scenario, propose inclusive actions or responses, and reflect on their potential impact of the decisions on individuals and workplace culture. At the start of the training, participants will analyze the scenario individually and submit a brief written response. At the end of the training, they will revisit the same scenario, but this time complete it with the knowledge gained from our training. Each response will be evaluated by facilitators using a scoring rubric aligned to the following criteria: recognition of DEI issues, the ability to accurately identify key diversity-related dynamics, critical thinking and ethical reasoning, the quality of analysis and proposed strategies, empathy and inclusion, consideration of multiple perspectives and marginalized voices. This approach emphasizes experiential and reflective learning, enabling participants to apply knowledge in the context and refine their thinking through social learning. Research supports the effectiveness of case-based methods in adult learning, especially for complex, values-driven topics like DEI. By comparing initial and final case responses, facilitators can assess growth in both conceptual understanding and practical application. At the end of the training, participants will complete a Google Form survey with the following sections rating them 1 through 5. This training increased my understanding of DEI in the workplace. The concepts and examples were relevant and easy to understand. I feel more confident in identifying bias or exclusion in the workplace. I am likely to apply what I learned in my daily work. And the training was respectful and inclusive of all perspectives. There will then be an open-ended section for more in-depth feedback, including questions like, what was the most impactful part of the training for you? What suggestions do you have to improve the DEI training? Do you feel anything important was missing from this training? This approach ensures both growth in understanding and actionable feedback for future improvements. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are important to every aspect of life. Together, these aspects play a key role in adult education and the workplace. In adult education, these principles ensure that all learners, regardless of their background and circumstances, have equal access to opportunities for growth and development. In the workplace, they foster an environment where individuals feel valued and respected and free to share their perspectives. When integrating the critical literacy advancement model into adult education and the workplace, diversity, equity, and inclusion become more than a goal that is written on paper. They become lived practices that promote fairness, opportunities, and systemic changes. By promoting these values in adult education and the workplace, we can take important steps as a society towards giving everyone a fair chance to thrive. The references listed below are the sources that were used to inform this training. Thank you all for coming today.